All right, next time you're teaching fractions, I really want you to emphasize this point because I find that this is where a lot of students get stuck and confused. And that is, they're not sure when we're talking about fractions as numbers in their own right or when we're actually talking about multiplying using fractions. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's just say I've got a number line here that goes from 0 all the way to 2. And I ask my students and say, where does half live on this number line? Now, importantly, I haven't said what's half of 2. I've said, where does half live on this number line? Because students need to know that half is a number in its own right and does have its own place on our number line. So what I'm wanting to do when I say, where does half live, is I'd want them to go, well, if this is 0 and 2, 1 must be in the middle, and half lives here, because we know that half is the same as 0.5 or 5/10, so that's where it lives as a number in its own right. And then you can say, give them the alternative as a comparison and go, okay, so if I said, can you show me half of 2? Well, now, this time, the answer to that would be 1, because all of a sudden now we're multiplying half 2 times. So if we have 2 halves, it's going to be on the 1. So I think students need to be seeing these two examples side by side and practice putting both of those different representations on our number line. So talking about where does half live as a number on the number line compared to when we're using a fraction in a multiplication context. So then the actual task you give your students might look like something like this after you've shared some examples. So you might make a number line on the floor with 0 and 4 and then print some different fraction amounts or some different fraction multiplication questions on cards, and then the students have to go and sort them. So they have to slide, well, a quarter is going to live about here, half will live about here, 1.5 is going to be around here, but then half of 4, well, now I'm saying my whole is now 4, and half of 4 is going to be 2, and then 1/4 of 4 is going to be at 1, and they can slide those cards around, put them on their number lines, and you can have some really good discussions. But hopefully, as they compare the two representations, hopefully students become clear of when they're dealing with fractions as numbers in their own right and when they're dealing with fractions in a multiplication context. It's a really important differentiation that we don't always necessarily make clear as teachers.